First, what is an abstract class? An abstract class in C# is a class that cannot be instantiated directly. It's like a blueprint for other classes. We can define common properties methods in an abstract class, but if we want to use it, we have to create a child class that inherits from the abstract class and fills in the missing details. After this, we can create an instance of the child class and create an object. Let's take an example. We have an abstract class called employee. The employee class represents a general concept of an employee. However, in the real world, we never have a generic employee. We have specific types of employees like front-end engineers, back-end engineers, managers, etc. Since we do not want to create a plain employee object, we declare it as abstract, ensuring only specific types of employees like front-end engineers can be instantiated. Our abstract class employee defines some common properties like first name, last name, and start date. It also includes an abstract method. It's like a contract that any child class must fulfill. It also includes a regular method. Since we cannot directly use employee abstract method, we will create a front-end engineers class, which will be our child class. Then we will instantiate front-end engineers class and create an object. Let's see how we would implement this in a code. First of all, let's create our employee abstract class. We have set the access modifier to public because we want to access this class and all of its properties from the main method over here. We have to use the abstract keyword followed by the class keyword. Employee is the name of our abstract method. Now let's create common properties. We will set all of the properties access modifier as public to access it from the main method. All employees have employee ID. This has been set as type int, which is a number. The get and set keyword allows us to get and set the value of the property. Using the same method, we now create first name and last name. Note both of them have type string. Also, all of the properties have a start date, so let's create this property. The type of this property is date time. This is a special type which allows us to work with date and time. Start date is the name of the property. Note we have protected access modifier in the set. This means that this property can only be accessed inside the employee abstract class or any of its child classes. This will soon become clear as we go on. Now we will create a method that will help us set the value of the start date, and we will call this method setStartDate. Note that this method is abstract. Abstract method does not have a body and must be implemented by all child classes. We have used abstract method because it allows specific type of employee, i.e. child class, to implement the logic in a way that suits their role. We have to use the keyword abstract to create abstract method. This method will return a value in datetime format. This is the name of the method and we are passing date in string format. All employees need to work, so we'll create a generic work method that returns a string saying all employees must work during weekdays. Now we are done creating our abstract class. Now let's create our child class. We'll call this front-end engineers. We have applied inheritance and the parent class is employee. As soon as we do this, we are now required to implement the abstract method, which is setStartDate. So let's implement the setStartDate abstract method. Note, in order to implement abstract class, we need to use the word override. Please feel free to check my tutorial video on method overriding. Method overriding is simply implementing the parent method by the child class in its own way. So this method will return a value in datetime format. This is the name of the class, and we are passing date in string format. DateTime.parse will take in the string date, then it will convert it into a datetime object and will assign this value to the start date property. Then it simply returns the start date property. Now we are done creating our child class. Let's implement this in main method. We cannot instantiate the employee abstract class, so let's instantiate the front-end engineer's child class and set its object properties. So we are grouping this under front-end engineer's class. Homer is the name of the object. This line of code allows us to create new instance of the object, and we are directly setting the property values over here. So our employee ID is 1, our first name is Homer, our last name is Simpson. Note you will not be able to set property value of start date over here. This is because set value has been set to protected, as you can see over here, meaning it can only be accessed under the parent class employee or its child class front-end engineers. In this example, we are controlling this value with this method set start date. This gives us extra layer of control on its value. So if I try to use start date equals then I get an error saying the property or indexer cannot be used because the set accessor is inaccessible. I'll get red squiggly lines, which means it's an error and the property is inaccessible. So let me undo this. Now we have called the set start date method using the dot notation and passed in the date and time as string. Now let's use the console.writeLine built-in method to print the first name and the start date. When we use a $sign, we can directly access the first name and the start date properties as long as they are written within the curly braces. So if I hit start, then it shows me Homer's start date is 25/10/1987. So this is how you would use an abstract class.